2, 1. Live from Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. This is your motivational, sensational, inspirational, educational, aspirational, international, keenly awaited, daily created, highly anticipated edition of the Afternoon Swing Trading Floor with your humble host, Jeremy Alexander, with another daily dose of mentally delicious brain food, reminding each of you to love life, live life, and trade it. 3 things for the afternoon room. Everyone's going to get access to this recording. We do record this every day, and we do make this available to everyone who is signed up for the All Access Pass. For 2 reasons. We realize that not everyone can day trade every day, but I do look at both swing trades, I look at day trades, and I also look at whatever you want me to look at. So if you have a stock that you would love for me to give analysis on, request it and I'll look at it. And if you feel like that is worth the price of admission, it generally is, of course, if you are trading. Mike says, where can we watch the morning video of you? Message me on Slack. Mike, if you're on Slack, if you're signed up, and I'll send it to you. Yep. I will message it to you, my man. Jeff, already starting, says Ford. Where's it going? Well, let's put Ford on the list for tomorrow, and I'll take all requests for stocks tomorrow in about 40 minutes or so. So if you guys are starting to type it into the chat page, give me about 40 minutes, and I'll take all the requests for tomorrow. First and foremost, what I'm going to do is review broader markets. Then I'm going to tell you guys a story about Dan Jansen, and then we're going to go look at all these stocks for Monday. Type in a 9 if you want to hear a conspiracy theory. It's a small one. It's nothing crazy, but I will share a conspiracy. I shared this morning with all those who were trading with me in the morning room. And I'm certainly not saying that this is going to play out, but I am just prepared in case it does. This move, and this move are all the exact same to the penny. Same size and everything. So that's 12% on the SPY. That is 12% on the SPY. And that is 13%. So 1% more. Intriguing. That's all. That's all. It's intriguing. I'm being more cautious up at this general location. I do think we could probably go to 417, 418, maybe 420 on the SPY. It's possible, but at that late location, I'll be getting into less bullish trades and more bearish trades, or at least more protective trades like collars, bear call spreads, and things of that nature. The Qs are the exact same. I do have a price where I plan on shorting a lot at all 3s if we get there, which we probably won't. And we don't have to, but what did happen today, if I just delete all my lines and just talk about candles for a second, we're battling the 100. We did make a new high relative to here. So all people that had stop losses and everything that just got stopped out, they're going to get stopped out here. And this is where there's certainly some resistance. Again, if we go look at the weekly chart, the 100 SMA is there. And again, you do have a perfect head and shoulders pattern. So if I turn all my lines back on, you'll see all these like necklines and trends kind of essentially apexing where we're at around nowish. So it is intriguing. And we have run up on essentially relatively bad news fundamentally. And also there's not many stocks that are going up strongly. There are a few, but the big ones are about it. And the rest are just kind of like, yeah, hanging out. It's interesting. All I'm getting at is this is the spot to make sure that you are aware of how to get into, if you are in long-term IRAs, 401ks, big positions of some kind, to start knowing how to protect yourself, how to make money on the market as it goes down, or how to hedge yourself with option usage. Here's the Dow Jones ETF, and it looks pretty similar. The Dow Jones Etf is above the 100 SMA, and it is interacting very nicely with this old support and resistance. I do think we could probably go to 3333 on the Dow Jones, but that's just an idea where I'll start to get, again, a little bit bearish. And the Russell, I hide all the lines for the Russell. The Russell had a beautiful bullish setup. And again, 3 weeks ago, and even now, if we get a bullish setup, I'm not afraid of it. I'll definitely trade bullish. I'm not perma bearish at all. I'm not saying the market has to go lower. I think it might. I don't think the economy looks fantastic right now. And from a technical basis, there's a lot of similarities with 2008. But this is a bullish gap and go on a weekly chart. This is a very nice hammer, and type in a 4 if, in your opinion, that hammer that I'm pointing to with a green arrow is occurring at a support level. Let's see. What do you oh, we're getting some 4s. We got some 4s. I like it. Well, you'd be correct. Correct. So it is at support. In fact, the red line is the 200 simple moving average on a weekly chart. That's a reason of support. The second reason of support is if we zoom out just a little bit, notice there's a support resistance level here, previous all-time high, boom, boom. And there's also a gap action right there, a little bit of a gap that we filled and we kind of bounced off of. So again, team, we can go higher. Don't be afraid of the market going bullish. I've been saying that for a little bit, but I do plan on just getting into some bearish positions as we start, and if we start going up a little bit more from where we are now. So that's my thoughts on the broader markets. That's what I got. Now, quick story about Dan Jansen. So Danny Boy, DJ Dan, was just, I would say, in your exact similar position, your exact shoes a few years ago. Dan was the moderator on right before me talking about some long-term stuff. If you didn't get a chance to make it, or you're watching the recording and didn't get a chance to watch his portion. But Dan was someone that I was not aware of. I did not know who he was, but he had gone through all of RLT's education. He was a huge fan. He spent hundreds of hours a month practicing, pouring into and learning charts. And he was already trading, and he used a lot of the information and charts and the community at Real Life Trading to become better. Well, we eventually hosted about 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, maybe. Wow, I think it is 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago. It's slightly irrelevant, but we hosted a moderator challenge where anyone who wanted to come take the mic could come take the mic, and then we would select the best person. And Dan was selected because, well, as you guys experienced, he's amazing. But my man put in time, he put in energy. But here's what's fantastic. If you're interacting with someone at Real Life Trading, the chances of that person being a full-time trader who makes their income from trading is 100%. And here's the better news. He has other streams of income. I want everyone to have all kinds of streams of income. Why have one? Why have one? So he has other streams of income and he trades. Win, 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 bonus all around. Long story short, type in a 7 if you want to work for one of the best companies on planet Earth. Any 7s? All right, we're getting a few 7s out there. I love it. Well, put in the effort, put in the energy, put in the time. It's a possibility. Don't think that it's not, because it is. It is possible. This movement, because Real Life Trading is more than a company. It's a movement. This movement is a grassroots, started from the bottom, and now we're here movement where we focus on enriching lives through education, through information, and also through transformation. So it's an honor and privilege to have all of you here who are watching live. And if you're watching this recording, thank you so much. All right, let's get into it. These stocks were requested last week, and there's a few also that I selected because some things are moving right now. And then later in the afternoon, I'll get your stocks that you want me to look at for tomorrow. ATER first on the list, and this one is being requested by a newbie. I don't know that for sure, but if I'm just looking at it, that's the way it looks. You guys want to know the #1 sign of a noob trader? Someone who's brand new. They love stocks that are just going absolutely straight to zero, and they want to buy right here, and they want it to do this again. That's the #1 mark of a new trader. So I'm pulling up this chart, and it just looks like a ski slope. It looks like something I would have to use both the back and the front brakes on if I was going down it on a bicycle. Here's the weekly chart. Yep. Look at this. That is not a great sign. So here's the good news. If you did request this, I'm not saying it can't go higher. It can. It could get bought out. I could be totally surprised by that. And it can get bought out by a company and all is good. I'll show with you how to take stocks like this. I'll share with you. In fact, type in a 3 if you want me to share with you the way to trade stocks like this, because there's plenty of them right now. There are actually hundreds of stocks that look exactly like this. Had that huge run up when all of you guys were making money. You guys remember that? When you had to press a button and you made money and it was awesome. Well, it's down 95%. 95%. That's a lot. So the likelihood of this returning is small. Like my IQ, it's tiny. It's itty bitty, infinitesimal, very hard to see. However, right now, the stock is trading at $2.35 a share. If you are like Newsom, this company is going back to 40. Great. What you should do is you should take your risk and divide it by 235. What is your risk? AKA, how much money do you want to lose on this dumpster fire? That's the question. How much money do you want to lose? This is a absolute dumpster fire. Imagine a dumpster rolling down a hill with flames coming out of it. Okay. So what is your risk divided by 235? So if you're thinking to yourself, I want to only lose $3,000 on putting my money in a pan full of garbage that is lit on kerosene. Okay. Take 3,000 and divide by that number. So that way, if it goes to zero, which it probably will, how much will you lose? $3,000 or one risk unit. Okay. Now, if it goes from $2.35 to $5, what should you do? Because is that possible? The answer is yes, it's possible. If that happens, sell half and leave the rest alone for the rest of your life. And if it goes up to 40, congratulations. That's how you play dumpster fires. They're down 96%. That's it. That's how you do it. Because if it goes up to 5, you've doubled your money. So you're playing with house money, sell half, and then hold the rest and just, hope for whatever. There we go. Done and done. I've kicked that dead horse. It is now mad at me. Moving on. MPWR. This is the exact opposite of a dumpster fire. This is what noob traders do not like buying. A brand new trader hates this chart. I don't know why. If you're really, really just like ultra new at trading, you're like, ooh, man, this thing just goes up. Gross. This is healthy. It is. I mean, it's slow, steady Eddie. It climbs long-term, buy nice and low. In fact, if I'm just looking at this chart right now, which I am, type in a 10 if you can see a support level of which we bounce where you could have bought the stock. Monolithic power systems. All right, there's a lot of people typing in a 10. I'm going to draw it just in case. But here's probably where you would have drawn your support. And when the stock comes back, that's let's just call it 380 a share. Could you have bought some shares there and sold there at 460? Is that possible? Does trading have to be harder than that? No. Find stocks that are going up, buy them at support. If it goes lower than support, get out, right? So if it went to 340, exit. And if it goes up to support, get out. And then from here, at this point, you just don't care. Once you get into the trade, you stop caring. You let it do its thing because this took a month and a half to play out. And if you're watching it every single day, have you ever heard the term, type in a 2 if you've ever heard the term, those who care least win most. That's very, very accurate in the stock market. Get into the trade, leave it alone, stop caring. Have your stops, have your targets, have all the things. Those who care least win most. All right. So that's monolithic power systems. I wouldn't buy it at this exact price, but if it goes down a little bit lower and you want to buy it at a lower price, probably 420, and then you could definitely look to buy some more at 360 if it makes it back down there. It'd be great. Next on this list is Ffiv F5 Networks. Now this one, so this is a weekly chart. It is resting right on top of a 200 simple moving average on the weekly chart. Why did I start with the weekly? That was just what I was on. If I came to this chart and it was the daily, I would have gone to the weekly anyway. So we're looking at the weekly chart. We came down and filled this gap right here. So this gap is now filled. This had a perfect, and I do mean perfect, head and shoulders pattern. It got an absolutely gnarly drop where we could have made some good money. And now we're battling the 200 where it has failed 4 times before. And where it's at now, it can either go down lower or not. So the way you would play it, earnings is already over, is I would just set up a if-then scenario. If it went lower than here, I'd put my stop up here and look to write it down. And then if it went above here, risk reward's okay. I probably wouldn't be extremely excited about playing it, but there'd be some targets here, some resistance levels, but you might be able to make some gainages on it. It's not terrible, but I can say this from a 10 EMA perspective, which a lot of you have becoming better and better and better at. This was a bear candle that closed above the 10 EMA. And so if you bought the high of that bear candle closing above the 10 EMA, you would have bought right there. Your stop loss most likely been right there, and you would be already up on the trade 1.2 Rs at a resistance, which is the 200 simple on a weekly chart, which is where you could sell and lock in gains on that swing trade. Type in a 4 if that's awesome. Trading is easy. It is. It's just hard to do. Walking 1,000 miles, hard to do. Walking, easy. Doing the same thing over and over and over repetitively for hours or days or weeks or years, it becomes a challenge. I proved this not that long ago. I was doing a conference and I took a bottle of water and was holding it straight armed like that. You guys ever tried that? Just take a random bottle of water, 12-ounce bottle of water, just grab it, just hold it straight arm and see how long you can hold it. The answer is you can hold it for about 10 minutes. That's the answer. Some legends out there can do 20, but you go above 20, you're an absolute hero. Not easy, but simple. Okay. That's F5 Networks. Something flew into my eye. Well Tower. I'm not in this trade right now. I did not play this. We did have one trader who set this hammer up. Type in a 10 if that is a delightful hammer. Oh my goodness. Now here's the truth. That same trader played this delightful hammer, entry here, stop there, and got stopped out. And they're like, man, I suck at trading, Newsom. Is there anything I could have done to avoid that? And I was like, I don't know, man, probably not. So when this hammer came in, you said, should I try it again? What do you guys think I said? Yeah, just lose less or win more than you just lost on that prior trade. And he did. So there you go. And that's just straight out the beginner trading handbook. Not to mention, it was also very close to the 100 simple on a weekly chart. And type in a 9 into the chat pane. If you can see a pretty good support on Well Tower right there. Now, again, team, I didn't take this trade. I'm going through all of these stocks that were requested by your peers, by your friends, and by your people. But this is a trade that they could have purchased. It's a spot they could have bought it at. I like it. Plug it in, plug it in. So plug is bouncing off of the 200 simple on a weekly chart. Check that out. An indicator that I almost very rarely pull up is something called the RSI, Relative Strength Index. And it was showing some really nice higher lows here as well. Bouncing off the 200 simple, looking pretty good. So again, I didn't purchase any down there, but if you're going to, that's where you could have. And what we have now is actually a pretty decent gap to begin watching on plug. just like Pinterest. We're going to look at Pinterest a little bit later today, but this is a nice gap. This is also an ascending triangle. So what I would really like to see is essentially this, and then a bear candle closing above the 10 EMA right about there. Maybe a week and a half or so from now. That's what I would like to see. That's what I would like to see. Questions on plug. Yates says it's plugging along. Oh my gosh. That's the best pun I've ever heard. It's just so, it's so crisp. It's so perfect. There's nothing I can say or do. I can't. Just great. Man, you nailed it. All right. Next on the list. Jordan says, play the bullish retest gap. That's right. Just like I drew. There's Mr. Squiggles. You can begin planning that now. Here, I'll give you a stock chart that you can plug into your Excel sheet and come back on it a week and a half or so later. All right, here's DRI, Darden Restaurants. Now, Darden Restaurants are delicious. Here's the weekly chart. And again, I'm just looking at the weeklies just to see what's kind of happening out there. And this is forming a really, really good support. I'm quite surprised that Darden has held up as well as it is right now, especially with, you know, restaurants being like they are. If you work at a restaurant or if you own a restaurant, you probably know what I mean. So here's like this little downward channel right now. And is it possible that we trade up into here and then roll over and then eventually break down and we have a really big sell-off? Yes, that's possible. Don't know if that's going to happen, but it could. Good long-term stock to buy because, again, you can kind of see that it is slowly trending higher. This would be one that I would buy if I ate at Darden Restaurants a lot, had a family member that worked there. Probably it. If I owned one, I mean, if I owned one, I would definitely have some shares. But you can see in general, it just kind of goes higher, except during random sell-offs or depressions or recessionary markets. As a quick sell-off, quick little flash lower, and people buy it up. Now, this one got bought up during COVID and just really, really ran higher immediately because it was insane that it sold off that quickly. Looks interesting. Let's just go to the 10 EMA and see what's going on. So from a 10 EMA perspective, this is a bear candle closing above the 10 right here. So if you were playing Darden, if you were the person who requested this one, and you're looking at it, entry would be 127.05. Stop loss would be 120.89, and let that one slowly grind its way higher. There we go. Whirlpool. There's too much goodness to talk about on this one. So we had a lot of traders play this recently, and we'll kind of walk through it. We'll walk through some sentiment for just a second because I think this is really, really beautiful, beautiful candlestick reading ability. Because here's the truth about swing trading. You guys are ready for some truth? One of my favorite things to do is scan the market and just look for some good setups 3 or 4 times a week, maybe 5. But it's not a lot. I scan. If I find a good trade setup, I'll take it. And if I don't, AKA less is always more. Find the really good ones. Play those. All the other ones, just leave alone. There's so many good setups all the time. Like this trade over here. I did not play this one on Whirlpool, but I played, this sell off in the market. That was such an easy short. I made some crazy money in June. Crazy money. I mean, look at this 10 EMA setup. Bull candle closing below the 10, a second bull candle just in case you hated the first one. And then you had a bearish gap and go. I mean, are you not shorting there? It closed below support and everything. Anyway. So here was a bear candle closing below 10. Type in a 7 if you're like, oh, okay, cool. There it is. There's a setup. Now, notice this little E down here. Type in an E into the chat pane. That E stands for earnings. So most swing traders aren't going to get in over earnings. They're going to wait. They're going to go, okay, wait a minute. I'm not going to get in right now. Let me give it some time. I see all kinds of things that I like. I see some higher lows. I see a little bit of a triangle thing. I see some close over resistance. We got a bear candle closing with a 10. Cool, but earnings are tomorrow. I'm going to wait. Most swing traders wait over earnings. The next candle that comes in, this was earnings. Type in a 3 if you see another bear candle closing above the 10 EMA. Everyone here should type in a 3 because that is what's happening right now. We have a second bear candle closing above the 10, essentially giving you an opportunity to buy even lower. Now your entry would be there, stop loss would be there. Beautiful. Plus, look at all this bear volume. Do you think some bears would be trapped if we went higher than that volume? I think so. Next, bear candle gapping up, closing into a bear candle. Oh, super intriguing. Even more bear volume. Wow. So you would have gotten triggered in above the high of this candle. However, with this candle and this volume, your assumption has to be, if we go even higher than this, man, this thing could really move. Plus, this is an indecision candle. This is your analysis. This is your thought process. You're going, okay, I'm gonna buy another risk unit, or I will get into the trade if I'm not already in. Stop loss, right? So you got your entry, you got your stop loss, and then the next day, inside indecision high wave candle. What? Inside indecision high wave candle? Free gift. You had a whole day of compression. Look at all this volume, all that bear volume, all this compression. You can feel this pressure building. You have to take this trade. And we had a lot of traders who did. This is a great trade for July. This is one of those where you're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, there's the setup. So if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's worth the, oh my goodness, beautiful trade. Just this one, that's 5 points on your shares right there. Who needs an extra $500? Right? 100 shares times 5 points. That's what that is. Extra 500. I need an extra 500, by the way. I'm gonna type that into the chat pane. I need more. I need $500 more. Oh, I typed in 5,000 accidentally, but you guys get the point. Make sure you always make sure you're always honest with yourself about money. All right. Which reminds me, can I go off on a tangent for just a second? I'm going to read a quote. I think a lot of people appreciated this post. Once I chose to accept that I just needed $40,000 or more per month of income to live as the best version of myself, my world changed forever. When I stopped saying that's too much, that's greed, or that's materialistic, and just accepted the fact that I love money and I want more of it in my life, I became super wealthy. Just own and speak out loud what you really want. Stop hiding in the shadows what others will judge you as. I just accepted it. I was like, damn, I love money, man. Sorry. I mean, $40,000 is a lot per month. I was like, whoo, who am I to deserve that? Type in a 4 if you think that's a lot. It is a lot, by the way. I'm typing a 4. It's a lot. So when I was like, man, $40,000 a month, like, who am I? Why me? That's I don't need that much. I don't even know how I would get that much. It doesn't even make sense. Here's the problem. 12 more seconds of this tangent. If you don't believe it's even possible, you won't have it. If you believe that you need it and you want it, that's step 1. Then step 2 is figuring out how it's possible. Sitting down and doing some math, figuring out how that's even possible. I mean, could you have made $40,000 on this trade right here? Of course. I mean, I did not make $40,000 on that trade, but I mean, could have been done. You'd have had to risk about $40,000 and you could have made $40,000. It's a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. It's a great trade. Good job, John, Justin Maxwell, and everyone else who brought that to our attention. I appreciate it. Pressure still looks good. And it's going to hang out at the 100 for a little bit. Oh, nice bounce off the 2. Yeah, Whirlpool is going to go a little bit higher. Let me throw this on the list for later this week. Let's continue to keep an eye on that one. Lou says, I'm reading You Are a Badass at Making Money. Great book. Changed my life forever. Fantastic book. Great read. Next on the list, this is a stock that I've been accumulating because I feel like it's too low. Sam Adams, Boston Beer Company. It was at $1,300 this time last year, and now it's $380. I understand what the product is. I know exactly how they make money. I like the product, if I'm being honest, although I'm sober right now. And I'll be sober for the next few months as I'm trading for this stupid Ironman that I'm doing. The beer is delicious. So I'm buying some on a reoccurring accumulation basis. Earnings were great. Gap down on earnings kind of continued higher. I think this is a no-brainer long-term buy low, sell high type of stock. Also, the 100 SMA on a monthly is 367.82. By the way, Peggy, you here? Just want to see if Peggy's here. Leslie here? Leslie or Peggy? No? Okay. I thought they loved me. No. All by myself. Here's Upwork, UPWK. I've put in a proposition for the New York NASDAQ exchange to change this to downwork. They haven't done it yet, but I think it's pending approval. And I have stopped accumulating this one for a while. I'll see if there's a time where I will be more inclined to do so again. I use Upwork. I know how they make money. I get the business model, but it just keeps going down. So why have I not started accumulating this one yet? Well, mostly because I lost some very interesting amounts of money on this drop over here, and then was able to protect myself from the rest. And so I did lose on the trade, but it was a sustainable amount of money. But I mean, again, so that we're clear, I made all the money throughout here. All the money. All the money was a lot of money on Upwork, and then it crashed. So I took the profits, obviously, and then reinvested the profits into the position over here. So the money that I did lose, although it was a lot, was just profits. So anyway, I do think it's worth accumulating. It just keeps going down. Like all the times when the market's up, this goes down. It's strange. So long story short, it's down work. And if you do buy some, just buy some very slowly and trepidatiously. Shopify, on the other hand, does keep showing some promise. Now, this was a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, play for anyone who knows anything about candles. So first and foremost, let's practice. I'm just going to turn all the moving average off because this is candles and volume right here. This is an obvious, super easy 10% win. What type of gap is this? Go. What type of gap is that? Oh. Brian says that is a retest gap. He is correct. So a bearish retest gap. So at the end of the day, we're expecting a retest to come in, AKA there's the drop, looking for this, and then most likely this, right? So that's the minimum. That's what we're expecting. Would you guys all agree? Type in a 1 if you're following me, because this information is only worth millions. So only be here and pay attention if you really, really love money and you want to make a lot of it. If you want to pay for everything in your family and be the absolute GOAT and be the person everyone looks up to. Okay, so you guys are all getting it. Great. All right, now, number 3, notice all this bearish volume. That simply says to me, if we go higher, will those bears be trapped? Yes or no? Okay. Yes, they're going to be trapped. Perfect. Is all this volume and this hammer candle and this bearish retest gap occurring at a support? Now, you can say no if you want to, but you shouldn't, because that's the wrong answer. The right answer is yes. Now, would it and was it a very easy to find and very simple support? to identify. Oh, yep. A 1-year-old could have drawn that. Look at all this support. Look at it. Okay, last question. Have we bounced from that exact price numerous times before? All right. So you guys get how I do all the, this is how I do the analysis. Candles, volume, support, resistance. Those 4 things are where I live. That's where I live. And so I will make the determination to take some trades because I did make a little bit of money on Shopify throughout here. I sold it at that resistance. That was not a bad trade. I mean, that was only $8 a share. Good old $8 a share. Can anyone here live off of $8 a share? I mean, it was only at 32, you know, so 32 times what, 1,000 shares? Can anyone afford $32,000? 32 times 1,000 shares, that's $8,000. This is second grade math. Don't let this be harder than it is. So there's a candle, there's the setup. So your entry would be here, your stop loss would be there, target would be there, filling up the gap. It's a 1 to a 1.2, 1.3 risk reward ratio. Do it with 1,000 shares or 100 shares or 1 share or 10 shares or whatever. Boom. There's your entry and bang, there's your target right there today. Nailed it. That's it. It's not that hard, team. Not that hard. All right. Winnebago. So your boy Newsom is in what's called a collar on Winnebago. You guys want to hear something cool? This is a term that you don't hear that much in the stock market. I can't lose on this trade. There you go. Learning how to use options, cannot lose mathematically until the end of August. I'm in a win-win. I either win 3% or I win 20%. So if we close above 60 in August, I'll get called away for a 20% win. I don't think we're going to close below 50, where I would have to sell my shares for a 3% win. But if I don't get called away, then I will sell a 65 covered call and I'll buy the 55 protective put. And I'll either make 10% or 25%. That'll be cool. Most likely it'll get called away, but we'll see. I don't know. That's Winnebago. I bought low, sold high. We're battling some resistance. Let's see what happens. Can't lose. So it's really one to not stress too much about. Amazon. When this gap fills, I'm going to make some money. That's the analysis on Amazon. So I'm waiting for a gap down or some type of like support break. It's a beautiful, beautiful gap. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to go to 0. It's not, obviously. Right. So this can happen and we can bounce and all is good to go. This gap up on Amazon is a beautiful gap, really good volume. Could go either direction up here. Somebody was asking me earlier today how to trade Amazon. Here's what I would do. Go into like an hourly chart or something. Draw your support. So there's a support zone down here. And there's a resistance zone up here. This is the hourly. Buy down here. Sell up here. And if it closes below that support, short the retest. Take a screenshot of that, by the way, team. I've been known to be right sometimes in my analysis, every now and then on Mondays. There we go. Amazon. That's it. Boom sauce. High wave indecision. Now, there's a lot that you can do here as well. If I was in some shares, I'd probably be getting into a collar right now on Amazon. There's also a good chance that you could get some money for a bear call spread. Throw your bear call spread up here somewhere. This is a nice little double bottom. I agree with that. Amazon could retrace back to 123 and you could buy that dip. That could work, or you could at least attempt to buy the dip and see if it goes higher. That would make sense. That's also a possibility. You can do that. I know it's very interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on Amazon pretty much each morning to see if we get a really strong gap. I mean, for example, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if tomorrow, if we were opening here at that resistance, I would look to short it. And this gap will fill by the end of September. Google. Still not sold on Google going higher. Very, very nice bullish gap and go on earnings. The easiest trade of all time. The implied volatility in those options got so messed up. I wanted to buy my puts up at 120. The implied volatility got so sucked out of those that did not quite happen. Google is battling the 100 SMA on a weekly from the bottom and the 100 SMA from the daily from the bottom, which is perfectly fine. I mean, Google can easily go higher, but this is the spot that if it's not, this is where it doesn't. So I'm keeping a close eye on it. I know we lost on those puts, but I will look to get into some more maybe for August or September at around this 120 price range. If we get there, and if we start rolling over the next 2 or 3 days, might maybe just take a quick little day trade, but there is certainly some resistance on Google. By the way, this is all quick short-term analysis. Type in a 5 if you should be buying Google long-term. Just to be clear. Okay. Perfect. So, I mean, everyone knows to buy Google. It just had the split, like buy it. If you, let's say make, I don't know, $500 shorting Google. Okay, go buy 5 shares and stick that into your retirement account and leave it alone. Buy assets, ladies and gentlemen. Create cash flow, buy assets that go up over time, make money. Udemy. I'm on Udemy. I think some of you might even be here for my Udemy course. There's a support here that we're bouncing off of. There's a resistance here. I'm keeping a very, very close eye on earnings on this one. I don't know what it's going to do, but if you are an options trader, I think this is a pretty okay time for a strangle. Call option up here for August, put option over here for August. Strangle this bad boy. If it gaps, hold. If it gaps, hold. I think this is a nice strangle opportunity for Udemy. That's really about it. That's all I got. This is one that I could begin to accumulate, but it seems like a lot of bear volume. I don't know. I haven't started buying any yet. I'll let you all know if I decide to. Maybe what I could do is take all the money that I make from Udemy and then buy Udemy stock with it, but I don't know. I'm just torn. Well, I'll read the earnings report. Let's see if they're doing anything great. Alcoa. So I'm actually in a swing trade on Alcoa and got absolutely boned today. I don't know why Alcoa just dropped 5%, but oh well. I was hoping to hold this one until dividends, get the free dividends, and then maybe sell, but it's a pretty gnarly pullback. That is a 1 black crow candle. I never like holding through retracements ever, by the way, in case you're counting. We are above the 100 simple on a weekly. We did have a perfect hammer off of the big blue line. Did you guys ever remember me talking about that strategy? Was anyone here in the kids class back in March when I taught 8-year-olds how to do this? Was anyone else? No, it was just me. Okay. So good old buy off the blue line, long-term company that you know how they make money, AKA Alcoa. That worked out, for just a measly 20% if you were in and out. We have a quick swing trade on it right now. We're still on it. We're still winning on it. I didn't like the pullback today. Let's see what happens. SIGA, SIGA. This one, somebody was looking for in the morning day trading room. And it did pretty much exactly what I thought it would do on a day trading perspective, which was really nothing. Apparently, or allegedly, earnings are just a few days away. So feel free to keep your eyes on this one. It looks like a pharmaceutical company. Yep, it is. I have no idea what they're going to do on earnings. I'm certainly not saying that this is not a way to make money. But if you ever hear anyone saying, if they get this approval, they're going to go really, really high. Here's what I would say. If you are the type of person that plays pharmaceuticals and you need your approvals to get the FDA to make money, you better be in pharmaceutical sales or be married to someone who is, and you better be studying the absolute living mess out of those drugs. You better know the scientists. You better go to the laboratory. You better be doing your homework. If you rely on, oh, if they get this FDA approval, because my dad was in pharmaceutical sales. And if I know one thing to be true, it doesn't matter if they get the approval or not. Just FYI. Sometimes it still goes down. Will says, I think it's the monkeypox vaccine stock. That means it will absolutely crumble to zero once people stop talking about monkeypox, even if they come up with the vaccine. Yep. That's just my opinion. Netflix. This was a worst case scenario drawing. We're right there right now. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we are just days away from finding out if that worst case scenario is going to play out. So again, if you're in some shares, protect yourself. But here's the thing, Netflix will go higher over time. This is a great spot to start accumulating it. I use Netflix. Type in an N into the chat pane if you have a Netflix account. So if you have a Netflix account, I mean, it's low, team. This is one of the biggest drops it's had in history. In its entirety of all time and forever, this is the one. It's down here. So I wouldn't buy heaps of it at 226. If you're like, should I buy 10 or 3 shares here? Buy 3 and then have some orders down here just in case. But we'll see. We'll see how the 100 interacts. Again, if you have a Netflix account, I don't think it's a bad thing just to pick up a share or 2. My opinion, I think Apple's moving the whole market right now. I do. There's a few stocks that are going up, but not many. And Apple is the stock that's going up the most from the tech world. And why would it not? It's Apple. It's up 24%. And I have kind of the same feeling that I had over here. I was just doing this. I was like, man, I don't know, dude. Like just straight up every day. Bang, 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 bang. Up, 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 up. That was after it made a new low, went up 18.5%. So we're up another 5%. And it gapped up this time on earnings. I'm not sold on it yet. But here's what's cool. You guys ready for what's cool? Type a D into the chat pane. If you can clearly see a double top with a 10 EMA setup. So it is tough to short Apple. It's hard because it just very, very rarely works. But that setup was one that you kind of had to take after especially all those white candles in a row. So if you played that and made some money on it, congratulations. I know Ben Epps made a little bit on that day. Again, tough to short Apple. I wouldn't be aggressive on shorting it. Somebody asked, will this gap fill? 100% this gap fills by the end of August. Yes, it probably fills this week. So that is just a matter of time. Okay. Santi says, hey, Jeremy, it's your old friend. What's up, dude? How are you, buddy? It's been forever, man. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it, brother. Yeah, nice little shooting star inside candle. So I'll keep a close eye on Apple. Again, I agree. Shorting, over here makes sense, but I'm expecting that gap to fill a little bit at some point. All right, here is Target. A lot of traders asking about Target today in the day trading room. Notice its gap. Crystal, you remember this one? Me and you, we nailed the analysis on this, Crystal. Bullish candle, bullish candle, bullish candle, bullish candle. And what did I say that that Target was doing this morning? Gapping up into a resistance. So there's the resistance. Boom, boom. And this is the retest. This is the selling right here. That's all it has to do. Now, granted, it too will fill this gap, but that's all the selling that it needs to do. It can easily go higher later. If you go look at an intraday, it didn't have too much movement. You could have maybe made a little bit of money day trading it, but it wouldn't have been huge. I'd probably look to buy some at 163.50 if it kind of comes into the high of Friday. Buy the dip. Otherwise, give it 3 or 4 days. You got some time until earnings, and this is a bear candle closing with a 10. And let's face it, it's Target. They're not going to go anywhere. Although I did go there the other day looking for water bottles to put in my bike. They didn't have any water bottles at all for adults. If I was a 3-year-old, they had tons of water bottles for 3-year-olds. No adult water bottles. Not for like bikes. They had like hi, I like yoga. They had those water bottles, but they didn't have the other cool kind. Anyway, I digress. That's Target. Brian says, did they have unicorns? They did. Yep, all of them. Unicorns and sparkling decor. Long story short, Intel is at a very good support, and it's at a support that it must hold. It cannot break this level. Here's the weekly chart. And the weekly chart, I mean, we're just at an extremely strong support. Can you buy Intel here? Absolutely. The challenge is you have broken the 100 simple moving average. We do have a bull candle. It's getting a little toasty. We must hold this support on Intel. We probably do. And so you're welcome to be bullish, but your risk reward's pretty good. If you're buying here, your stop loss is most likely 35. So if we close below 35, you don't want to short Intel at a 52-week low. Short the retest and let it go lower. It is a bear retest gap, so it makes sense that it's going to retest a little bit and kind of fill this gap up until like 38.50, but from there, we'll see what's happening. Meta, very interesting on Meta. Why am I saying it's interesting? Well, this was a bear gap and go on July 28th. It's at a very strong support. But again, I mean, look at all this stuff. Look at the market going up. Facebook is a huge proponent of the Qs, not going up at all. Google, huge proponent of the Qs, hasn't gotten above the 100 simple in a weekly chart. I mean, there's like, man, there's a lot. Meta's another one though. Netflix is, anyway. Apple's holding up the whole market. So Meta, it's got a really good support right here. But if we close below here, short it, short the retest, it's going to go lower. Yep, definitely going to put down the list for tomorrow. Tech Giant Tuesday. And then Pinterest, and I'm going to look at one more, which is Tesla, and then we'll be done for the day. Pinterest is gapping up on earnings, which is a good thing. So this tells me that it is most likely good to start accumulating Pinterest again. You got absolutely demoralized on Pinterest, just getting slayed. But there were a lot of people who use Pinterest who say they still use Pinterest. And this is a good gap on Pinterest. It is. So I wouldn't buy it tomorrow at open by any stretch of the imagination. I would certainly wait for a pullback. And I will be watching Pinterest a lot tomorrow. This will be one of the gaps I'll focus my time and attention on. I'll probably like to buy it around 22 on a pullback. I think I could just start accumulating this one, which just simply means buying a few shares every other day or on down days, just kind of legging in. Because if I can buy some around 22 and it goes up to 30, that's a 30% return. I mean, that's not bad. So it is a buy low, sell high. I do know how Pinterest makes money. I don't think they're going to go away. They have a very interesting niche. They're very, I don't know, focused on what they do. And it's just gotten absolutely tronched. So buy low, sell high. I made some funny money on Pinterest in 2020. Who didn't? But the one big difference between me and them is I bought a bunch of assets late last year. I bought real estate. I bought companies. I bought businesses. I bought art. I bought all kinds of things. Make a bunch of money, buy assets, repeat that process. I am so cash poor right now. I got a lot of assets. All right. Tesla today was a lot of fun. Type in a 7 if you see the red line on the screen. That red line was the 200 simple moving average on the daily chart. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my three trades on Tesla. 1 loss, 2 wins. Here we go. All using the 10 EMA trade, nothing special. All right. Trade number 1, bear candle closed above the 10 right here. Went long on a pullback. Stop loss was down there. Lost 0.7. It did not go higher. Trade number 2, bullish candle closing below the 10. Also perfect double top. Had to take that. Short there. Stop was up there and covered around my short here because I was about to log off the microphone. I had to go run an errand and I took essentially a break-even trade on my second trade. I won $45. It was nothing special. And then boom, that guy, bull candle, closing below the 10, interacting with the 10, facing and right on top of the 200 simple moving average. So if I pull up the 200 simple moving average was 909. So it was right here. 1 second. The 200 simple moving average was right here. So this was right below it. So shorting there was shorting below the low of this bull candle. You already had 1, 2, 3, 4 primary lower highs on Tesla. Short, stop loss, exit a partial, waterfall. Very good trade. But only for those who like money. Was able to win more than I lost, covering right at this big bullish candle in pre-market at 880, 886, right at that pre-market low. Beautiful trade. That was Tesla. And now on the daily chart, that was the day trade. The daily chart, it's going to hang out in between the 200 and the 100 for a little bit. So I'm very interested to see if this is the lower high on Tesla. I kind of think it is. We'll see though. We will. I mean, there's a lot to battle here. I think we're going to hang out and just chop around here for a little bit and most likely hang out. I think Tesla's made its primary move. However, it's going to be very easy that if we get above this candle, we all know what's going to happen. It's going to go to 1,000. Well, that's simple enough. So let's just wait a few days. Most of the move on Tesla is over and it's going to rest here for a bit. If you're in some shares, get into a collar. If you're in some leaps, Craig Levine, get into some protective collars on your leaps. Craig Levine, protect yourself. Sell calls, buy puts, Craig Levine on Tesla, on the leaps. And that's it. Let's wait to see what happens. It had a really good 10 EMA setup, right? Bear candle was closing above the 10 over here on July 18th. So if you rode that up, looks really nice. And it was a nice move. All right, Squadrini, tomorrow, Tech Giant Tuesday. Which symbols am I coming back for the afternoon room to look at for you? Roku, Datadog, Microsoft, Ethereum, AMD. And just as a reminder, you do get access if you want the all access pass, 45 hours a week is only $275 a month. You can pop in for any of the segments that you think you would like to benefit from. Ladies and gentlemen, that is less than my cell phone bill. And my cell phone bill does not give me tons of data, loads of information, an amazing community, incredible opportunities to make money, and resources out the yin yang. Please be a part of RLT. It pays for itself in more ways than one. Sign up. It's a no-brainer. I love you all. And I'll see you tomorrow. And until next time, love life, live life, and trade it. Bye.